I want to welcome you all to the Spark Cleantech Accelerator Demo Day. We're so happy to have you here. My name's Courtney Piper. I serve as Executive Director of the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council. And for the last 7 or 8 months, the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council has had the pleasure of working with the Spark Cleantech Accelerator and the folks at the University of Tennessee Research Park on providing mentoring, programming, and curriculum for this first cohort. We had a lot of fun and we learned a lot, so we hope that you enjoy today. With that, I'd like to introduce the director of the Spark Innovation Center, John Brook.
Thank you, Courtney. Good morning. As Courtney noted, I'm John Brook. I'm the director of the Spark Innovation Center at UT's Research Park. Thank you very much for coming today. It means a lot to have this level of support, not just today, but really throughout all of Spark's rollout, and most especially our Cleantech Accelerator. We're really pleased to be able to show you not only the 5 companies that have come through the Spark Cleantech Accelerator this summer, but we're also joined by our collaborators and colleagues from Oak Ridge National Lab in the Innovation Crossroads program, and you'll have a chance to meet some of the companies that are in cohorts 5 and 6. So this is Innovation Crossroads' 6th year in running their program. So it's exciting to be able to join with Crossroads today. Our vision, what we started with 2 years ago, was to offer a home and to build early stage tech companies so that we could help them with the development of their technologies and to commercialize by fleshing out their business models and to really ultimately give them a home here in the Knoxville region. That vision quickly informed our more detailed strategy to provide lab space, co-working space, conferencing facilities, programmed instruction, and one-on-one mentoring, and a network of connections with subject matter experts, strategic partners, investors and banks, and UT and ORNL collaboration partners. We also were very fortunate to have space made available for us at the UT Institute for Advanced Materials and Manufacturing, and they have fabulous meeting rooms, co-working spaces, conferencing facilities, and most especially great lab space for these tech-based companies. So many thanks to our friends at IAM. But that space isn't enough. We need to provide top-tier programming and mentorship that advises and supports these companies, and to grow them so that they will stick here in the region. And one of the highest value forms of support we provide are the connections. We've made connections through a myriad of people in the Tennessee region, ranging from the Tri-Cities all the way down to Chattanooga and Nashville, but most especially all of the local connections here in Knoxville. And when those connections truly are local, that stickiness happens. And we love to see that these companies are very interested in permanently locating and growing here in East Tennessee. So my special thanks to all of you in the room who've helped make that happen. Too many to mention here today, but I would call your attention to a rolling list of credits over the lunchtime so that we're able to highlight all the people who support our early stage tech community here. So in our first 2 years, our incubator program included 9 companies, 6 of whom will graduate this month to local commercial and lab space. And 2 of the companies will renew with Spark for another annual term. Most importantly, in total, those companies have raised tens of millions of dollars in grants and private investment and have extraordinary growth plans. So our incubator has had measurable and significant impact on these young companies and on our region. Our next incubator cohort, which has been selected, includes 9 new companies who will start in the next 30 days at the UT Research Park. But let's go back to October 2020, when we first launched our incubator program. We were immediately noticed of a prize from the U.S. Department of Energy as one of the top 20 energy-based incubators in the country. That award evolved into the Heartland Climate Tech Partnership led by Evergreen Innovation Solution, or Evergreen Climate Innovations in Chicago. And it included Spark, M-Hub in Chicago, and Centropolis in Detroit. That DOE-funded partnership provides for 3 annual Cleantech accelerators in each of those 3 cities, and each with an intense course of technology development and business building. This partnership has been extraordinarily helpful to Spark by offering us great ideas, resources, and connections. And in addition to the Heartland resources, we've been fortunate to establish key state and local relationships with the City of Knoxville, the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council and Piper Communications, Launch Tennessee, Tennessee Energy Mentor Network, TVA, UT and the Center for Materials Processing, the UT Research Park, the UT Research Foundation, and Cherokee Farm Development Corporation. Our Cleantech Accelerator program began with a global search for early-stage clean tech companies. And when we made our primary selections with the notice that we expected them to stay in the Knoxville area or the East Tennessee region, they all accepted. Programming began in early June, and with very bright, passionate founders developing technologies and launching companies that will contribute to solving the global climate crisis. Those companies, under the instruction of truly a remarkable lineup of almost 50 subject matter experts, speakers, instructors, and mentors, have covered almost every possible topic as it relates to building a business: customer validation and discovery, market analysis and fit, value proposition and business modeling, intellectual property and patenting, financial modeling and valuation, supply chain engagement, funding strategies, including bank debt and outside investment, angel investing boot camp that was delivered to the entire community by a nationally recognized angel investment group, organizational development and team building, communications, branding, social media, and pitch preparation, most especially for today. Additionally, all of our accelerator companies completed the Tennessee Energy Mentor Network series, including the intake panel, marketing, finance, and final pitch panels. Today is this cohort's graduation, and we'll present to you the final work product of Cohort 1 of our Spark Cleantech Accelerator. 5 great founders and their great companies. I am exceptionally proud of this group of innovators and entrepreneurs for their hard work and progress through our program, including Dr. Ryan Ginder, founder and CEO of Windfall, Dr. Edward Chan, founder and CEO of Groundstar, Jana Porter, founder and CEO of Fractal, Dr. Matthew Kesey and Kay Baker, co-founders of Green Llama Cleaning Products, and Dave Castelli, co-founder and CEO of Rave. So let's get to know our Accelerator cohort members better, beginning with Dr. Ryan Ginder.
View.
Oh, that's not cooperating.
You gotta put it on. Yeah, might have to drag it over.
Okay, we need Dan. We signal Dan. Is there an engineer in the house? There is. Dan, we need you. Switching between PDF and PowerPoint is always an adventure. Also, if anyone has parked in this parking lot, I just received a text from the building manager. If you don't have a parking pass, we're going to need you to move the vehicles. Just a small announcement. I can't get the PDF one to pull up.
Oh, I'm sorry, which one is it?
So it's this presentation right here, but it won't pull up on the screen. So I've made it full screen and it still doesn't show up on the. So if we go to view, and then down to full screen, it only shows up here and not up there.
Which is odd because it worked yesterday.
Yes, it
You
did.
tested it yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, but I was able to drag it over to that screen and the screen's not on.
Well, you know, I hate to say this, but
so
like
good.
a reboot is like, I don't know about, or like maybe relaunch the program? Can you try
Yeah. But it's not in PowerPoint. When I pull up PowerPoint, it goes, it's in PDF.
that? Well, that's,
Is there a
is it a
way?
PowerPoint, like
It's not in PowerPoint. It's saved as a PDF.
oh yeah, it has to be saved as a PowerPoint. Did you test it from this computer?
Yes,
Last
and I
night?
was able, it was just spread over to this screen,
Yeah.
and I was able to just drag and drop it onto that screen yesterday.
Well, I'll go grab the PowerPoint version. You ready?
I have like 6 of these that are in PDF, so I don't know, is there a way to fix the... Because yesterday it was like my screen was extended onto that, and I could just drag and drop it.
Computer.
Yes.
No. Go ahead. Probably not. PowerPoint do for sure, but yeah, that might be it.
There it goes.
All right.
Okay, we're good.
So far.
Yep,
But how
that's
come
it.
it was, I wonder why.
And I'll just direct.
You got it.
Actually, she didn't do it.
Sorry.
Anyway.
Now.
Put it over. You did it.
Alright,
Okay,
we're good.
test your clicker. Make sure it's on. Is your microphone on?
Can you hear me?
Oh, it's actually not pointing at your. Put it actually on your tie, if you don't mind, and point it towards your mouth. Perfect.
Is that better?
Is it on?
Yeah, should be.
The,
Maybe move it a little bit closer to your mouth. There you go. Do you
Hello?
mind if I keep it
Yeah.
here and put it
I
in?
don't think it's on. We would be able to hear it.
All right, let's try that.
Yeah, it's on. Okay.
And that is microphone 2. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right. Are we good?
You're good to go.
All right.
All right. Thank you for your patience. We're ready.
Thank you, everyone. Technology is always fun. Works the day before, and then. But with that out of the way, let's get started. So, hello. I am Dr. Ryan Ginder, founder and CEO of Windfall, the world leader in fiberglass composites upcycling solutions. And when I say world leader, I actually mean it. When we talk to the various fiberglass companies, automotive manufacturers, wind energy OEMs, nobody can do what we do with end-of-life composites. This has allowed us to take materials from clients such as Berkshire Hathaway Energy and Volkswagen, recycle those materials at our pilot facility, backed by the Department of Energy here in Knoxville, and turn them into award-nominated composites materials for the production of new products. With that, wind energy has a problem. That is, its plastic reinforced wind blades are piling up in the landfill to the point that you can now see them from space. It's actually kind of fun. Pull up Google Maps, flip it over satellite, scroll around Texas, you see the large white blocks. But what's less fun is that there's not a good sustainable outlet, either the landfill or the cement kiln incinerator. This is obviously damaging to wind social acceptance, and that both from a regulatory standpoint in doing new projects as well as the disposal of old projects. But further, Iowa farmers generally don't like having blades dumped on their crops, so that also causes issues with leases for new land. And of course, with wind energy continuing to grow and already the largest source of renewable energy in the country, this problem is only continuing to grow. That said, wind's problem, even though it gets the most attention in the headlines, is actually everybody's problem when it comes to composites. The example I like to use is automotive, where right now, on average, your vehicle is about 12 to 15% plastics composites. The example I like to point out is Ford, which in 2020 made 1.7 million vehicles in the US. That would translate to over 3 times the amount of wind turbine blade waste in 2030. That is to say, there's a lot of composite waste out there, and it needs a better home. Now, while waste is one issue, the issue that doesn't get as much attention is that supply is also a problem. That is, if you look at global factory utilization rates for fiberglass production, you'll notice a trend that in 2020, 85%, 2021, 91%, this year, 95%. Basically, fiberglass consumption in all use categories is going up. So if we're going to continue to make new products, we have to find new sources of fiberglass. And what better than glass we've already made? So our solution, the circular economy. Value creation by facilitating the flow of material from waste generators to new product manufacturers by converting that material through our process. This allows us to take cars, boats, planes, wind blades, and allow us to convert it into a form that allows us to make those same products over again. Our solution is a pyrolysis-based method where we take the incoming material, break it down in kind of a wood chip consistency, and feed it through our process. That then gets converted back into the raw materials, either the hydrocarbons, they then go back to the oil industry to do what they do, or as raw fiberglass product. You can see up there our nice white fluffy staple fiber. That you can then use to make new composite materials. As an example of that, you have our raw staple fiber here on the far left. That can go back directly to the fiberglass industry for either the fabrication of new building materials, or it can go to the plastics industry for compounding, for injection molding. Or we can use the material ourselves and start making those intermediates. So for example, non-woven fabrics you see in the middle right there that can be used for marine manufacturing, new turbine blade construction, automotive. In fact, that roll actually used to be a liftgate for the Volkswagen Atlas. Continuing on, we can also compound it ourselves into thermoplastic pellets. That allows us to do various molding applications, such as injection molding. And those pellets you see there used to be a GE 37-meter wind blade that was destined for the dump. But instead, now we can process it. And in addition to making these pellets, we can also convert it into filament for additive manufacturing. So you can see our prototype material here on the left that has comparable printability to the existing virgin-based materials that you can buy on the market right now. So with our process, that means that you can take that end-of-life wind blade, instead of it sitting in the landfill, it can now be turned into just about anything. So, given the fact that there's nobody else in the space who can yet do this, we're in a very unique position to be, in essence, not just Coca-Cola, but soda itself in the fiber recycling business, being able to connect the customers that we have on the waste side as their trash-to-cash solutions provider, and then flow that material back over to the same OEMs that manufacture these products in the first place as material supplier. This means less plastic waste going into the landfill, lower associated CO2 emissions because it takes less energy to recycle the fiber than to make the virgin filament in the first place. It also provides a reliable domestic supply chain for these materials, in the post-COVID era, where you're trying to get materials to manufacture something. That is obviously very important these days. And of course, for our backers, profitable services and material sales in the composite space. So where we are right now is we have completed proving out our 1-ton pilot line here in Knoxville, having processed a variety of building materials, wind blades, cars, boats, and so forth, validating both the intake waste market and the reuse of the fiberglass in a variety of different application products. So right now we are in our seed break-even phase, where we're raising investment to do additional product development to get those materials further penetrated into the market for the recycled product, as well as some of the front-end engineering work needed to prepare to build the first commercial scale plant here in Knoxville later next year. That plant would then be built using Series A funds, where we would construct a 20-ton per day commercial scale line, get it running just the way we want it, and then copy and paste additional of those lines in parallel to increase plant capacity. So for our seed investment, our three main thrusts are on the left here. We have nonwovens. Basically, you can use nonwovens in the fabrication of wind turbine blades, different components, and so forth. So we're working with the wind OEMs and Tier 1 suppliers on the material qualification process to be able to put those nonwovens directly back into the production. But we are also working on the thermoplastic side to be able to bring that 3D printer filament I showed you to market, as well as begin doing demonstrations with the plastic pellets for injection molding in different consumer product applications. And of course, finally, completing the necessary engineering work to be ready to build our full-scale plant. Here we have the goal, the pro forma of that first plant, with a target final capacity of 200 input tons per day, essentially 10 lines running in parallel. That would allow us to process, depending on OEM, generation, etc., 5,000 to 7,000 blades a year. So in year one, we get the 20-ton line running. Year two, focused on that composites vertical integration. Then years 3 and 4, putting more of those 20-ton lines in place, such that by year 5, we're operating at full capacity with an EBITDA of just over 50 million, which is convenient because if you look at years 3 and 4's CapEx expenditures of around 40 to 50 million, that means the plant actually makes enough money to support building more plants. So here we have the Windfall core management team, myself, graduate of the University of Tennessee, been in the composite space for quite a while as a research professor in the mechanical engineering department, created the original technology, brought the team together around the original DOE STTR grant that allowed us to build the pilot facility. You have my right hand, Chief Operations, Bowie Benson. He grew up in the thermoplastic compounding industry. His family has an extrusion company for wire and cable industry. He's worked for a lot of the major companies in that space like Sabic, and so been very helpful in scaling up the operations for the process, both intake and processing of material. You have our Chief Strategy Officer, David Morgan, handsome Dave, who does a great job handling both from the smallest mom-and-pop marine outfit on up to our Fortune 500 clients and handling of contracts, and also marketing and relations for the output product. And last but definitely not least, Dr. Eva Lee, Chief Technology Officer, graduate of the University of Tennessee with her PhD in chemical engineering that helped with the implementation of the 1-ton line here in Knoxville and is overseeing preparations to put the 20-ton line in later next year. On our advisory team, we have my de facto CFO, who helps me take all the various numbers that we build out for our business model and turn it into financial speak. And of course, our lawyer, because whenever you do anything like this, you have to have a lawyer, and ours just happens to have background in working with the banks on large contracts for term debt, which is very helpful when you want to build a very large production plant. And with that, Windfall is working diligently today to upcycle today's waste to build tomorrow's future. Thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions, please feel free to come and find me after the event.
Martha, this is all up because of you. I feel like a news anchor. Reading from a script. Good morning, my name is Ed Chan, co-founder and CEO of GroundStar. Do you know that we have 42 gigatons of carbon dioxide emitted every year around the globe? 42 billion tons. Imagine that a trailer is about 20 tons of product. That's this thing's not working. This is 2 billion trailers of stuff in the air. Imagine that driving on your head, one of them. This is what's going on now relative to the situation that we're seeing, increasing weather severity, impacting lives. So we want to make sure that we can mitigate that. California is burning up. Nevada is burning up. Where are they going to live? How are they going to make do for the next 2 decades? You have the flooding of eastern Kentucky, our neighbor. What are they going to do? I mean, they have no home to go back to. Where are they going to move to? And then lastly, you got a poor polar bear trying to find a dinner every night. This is in the South Antarctica. We can do something about this. We can do something about it by mitigating carbon emissions using carbon capture. And we have able to turn a cost center to a profit center. This is a big deal. Carbon capture has always been a cost. We're not converting that to a profit center. We have customers that we are lined up. We have 2, one in Berlin, one in Pasadena, California, and hopefully Gary with TVA. We have going on in terms of collaboration with Oak Ridge, big investment of capital equipment to be avoided. So let's focusing on the 42 billion tons to just one sector in the US alone, and that's the power sector, 1.4 gigatons we're emitting every year. I think we can do something about this. The issue that we have in carbon capture is a cost center. What that means is you talk to Merck, you talk to Heineken, and I talk with those guys, basically shut the door. Not interested. Why? Because if you're a CEO, why would you want to pick up a cost center? Your job is to make top line. So by changing the cost center to a profit center, we're changing the equation of how we discuss with the customers. Relative to the power sector, through Gary's help and Andrew is in Memphis today, they basically revising our thought process from maritime initially to power sector. What that means is they have idle assets in place, the cost standby generators, be able to convert that to, hopefully, through carbon capture, something we can increase grid capacity. We all use electricity, so this is a big deal. Solution, how are we going to do this? Relative to the power sector, we're looking at the standby generator right here, this kind of dark picture. They are basically bought sunk cost. We can basically, using the carbon capture technology, retrofitting post-scrubber to identify ways to make do with increasing capacity. The solution we have here is a modular system using advanced material called graphene. Now, this is all kind of cutting edge, but we are the experts in this area in commercializing it. I'll show you why. In terms of the market opportunity, this is such a US alone. I'm not talking about the 42 gigatons, 1.4 gigatons. It's about $20 billion worth of sorbent sales for us. And sorbent is our business, not the CapEx. The addressable market, serviceable, is about $9 billion. So the 20 is coming from the coal and gas emissions, and natural gas account for about half of it. With TVA alone, using the natural gas generator plus the standby generators, is about $100 million. One account, big deal. So traction. So what have you done so far in terms of the last 3 months? Did we just eat candies coming out of Angie's dish, or just eating donuts? I mean, this is great, candies all day long. We secured 2 customers, Berlin and Pasadena. We have 1 letter of intent. We're going to hopefully get a $300,000 worth of contract with the folks in California. This is the one I want to spend some time on. I'll be over for a bit, but I want to make sure this is set strongly. Without the accelerator, this thing here would not have happened at all. So let me kind of click through the triads, TVA, without their thoughts and direction on how to think about this carbon capture, none of that could have taken place. Oak Ridge National Lab, by visiting their labs, my belief is we can take out $3 million of capex from the venture capital funds. In other words, we're going to build this thing, but the fact that you have that in place, we can basically pay SG&A and not have to spend the capital equipment. The last thing that's important is human capital. These guys at the lab have been doing this for a long time, decades, and having them help us to scale up. This is a fast track way to do this. And then lastly, at the campus, you guys are all from UTK of some sort, right? 4 departments we have collaborating with: agriculture, materials, composites, CMP, and chemistry, to basically drive home the 2nd generation, 3rd generation material development we have in carbon capture. So we have lined up what we can do today, lined up for the next gen coming behind it to cost reduce. And one thing that we're going to be doing with customers is when we get scaled, they're going to ask us, give me 5% reduction every year. Expect it. This is part of my experience. And then lastly, with strategy we talked about over at ETech, potentially we can partner with capital equipment development and design for carbon capture. All here in Knoxville. Okay, let's talk about why this is the case. This is kind of a busy slide. I just want to go through the color codes and not the details. The details, Gary, are going to be talked about tomorrow with Andrew, every single line item here. This is not just me just driving a nice PowerPoint. This is coming out of discussion with Oak Ridge National Lab, all of it. So the blue fonts represent small scale, grams, kind of things in the lab. And this is with UTK. The green represent TRL technology ready level from 3 to 6. That's going to be the bulk of our work with Oak Ridge National Lab along with the National Transportation Resource Center. Bring it up to the next set of color fonts that could be TRL 6. And by the way, for the investors here, TRL 6 means that you can invest in Series A or B. The next one up, 200 megawatts, first of a kind, that's a growth capital type of scenario, Series C or above, okay? This is not a thank you slide. This is something that we have actually worked on. Ira's been helping me for the past 6-12 months in lining up the investors, and he got me into this accelerator. John, Carol, Tom, the network is what was the result of the last slide that we did. I have no idea who Oak Ridge is, no idea UTK, no idea anything. They made that happen for us. And then, of course, without customer, there's no business. So Gary, Andrew, they're advising us how to think about the power sector. The team that we have, I mean, why do you think we can do this? We have worked at DuPont to learn about product development. We have worked at International Paper. In process engineering, this is a part of it. And Berry Plastics, cost reduction, owned by a private equity called Apollo. They call me every week when I was there. Give me 2%, give me 3% reduction every single time. So I get it. We know how to do this. In terms of Caltech and Princeton, bachelor, PhD, they're there for a reason, and that's we are always at the cutting edge of technology. Scaled up carbon nanotubes and scaled up the graphene 3 times since 2015. And then lastly, in summary, we are in the Cleantech space for investors. We have developed carbon capture for the hot to abate industries. We have customers lined up, collaborators situated, and partners in place. If you are interested in this space, come find me over lunch. Thank you.
You're good to go?
Think about how you woke up today. Where were you? If you're fortunate, like most of us, it was indoors, in a place that you cultivated mindfully, and you will spend the majority of your time. According to the EPA, roughly 90% of Americans' time is spent indoors. The air that we breathe in those spaces, 2 to 5 times more emissions than outdoors. That is really... You can put it wherever. We're going to do it again. What's your name? Hi, Dan. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Martha. All right. You ready? Let's go. So you saw my slides. So we're going to start again. Think about how you woke up this morning, where you woke up this morning. If you're fortunate, like most of us, it was indoors in a space that you mindfully created and where you will spend the majority of your time. According to the EPA, Americans spend roughly 90% of their time indoors. And these places and spaces where we spend our time tend to have 2 to 5 times more emissions than outdoor spaces. So just let that sink in a little bit. That is really due to the materials that we use in the built environment. Fractal is a materials company. I am Jonna Porter, the founder and CEO, and we are building bio-based PVC alternatives, especially for the built environment. So let's talk a little bit more about PVC, or polyvinyl chloride. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. It's ubiquitous. It's all over all of our, again, places and spaces. But it's also notorious, right? It degrades into microplastics, which I'm sure you've heard has been found in our systems and on our organs, which is problematic, obviously. It releases dioxins and phthalates, which can disrupt your endocrine system. That's something that you need, right? And then it continues to off-gas even after it's implemented. So all of those things put together represent a problem. According to thought leadership and industry, because of this and sort of other sort of minor things, there are a lack of affordable, healthy, sustainable choices for the built environment, especially materials. And you can see U.S. Green Building Council, American Institute of Architects, National Institute of Building Sciences. These are, leaders, and they've already established that this is an issue. When we also think about the built environment, we think about often concrete and cement and the emissions, and how our materials are not built for the end of life, right? And so we send them to the landfill. Construction and building materials are one of the largest fillers of our landfills. But what we probably don't consider are organics. So plants, organic material, $160 billion. I'm just going to pause there. $160 billion in value. This is not how much it costs to landfill, the fees. This is not the space that we use, and real estate is finite, right? This is just the value. So I tell you all that, but what are we going to do? So Fractal is building bio-based PVC alternatives like this. This is a mock-up of something that we're building now. And as you can see, it's pretty simple, right? It's 100% built from agricultural overages, things that would primarily already be going to a landfill. So that is either free or low, very low cost for us to receive. And this represents the non-vinyl resilient flooring, if you've heard of that. So it's in sort of contrast to luxury vinyl tile. I'm sure you've heard of that terminology. So why would we choose bio-based non-vinyl resilient? Because it's 100% bio-based, it's biodegradable, and not only biodegradable, it's compostable. So when you get ready to rip up your floors every few years because real estate's too high and the interest rates are too high and you don't want to buy a new house, you can compost it. This is your flooring material, right? Addition to that, again, because of the materials that we've chosen to use, it's antimicrobial, waterproof, flame retardant, and UV resistant. Again, not using the typical chemicals that are used in heritage and legacy materials like titanium dioxide. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that in Skittles, right? That's the big deal now. And also aluminum hydrate. These two things are on watch lists for our bodies, but they have been used in the production of these materials for decades. We don't use that because we don't have to. We can use this material in all sorts of applications in any of our places and spaces where there's a floor, really. Residential as non-vinyl flooring, athletic flooring, hospitals, industrial spaces, not fatigue matting, all kinds of things like that. So obviously, because it can be used for everything, right? It's PVC, PVC alternative rather. The market is rather large. It's a $74 billion market for sustainable interiors. A third of that is for sustainable building materials, interiors such as this. That's a very large market. So of course there are competitors, right? I'm sure that you guys have seen these people. I'm sure your places and spaces have used these people. One of the things that sort of separates us from these people that are on this list, these heritage companies, as I mentioned, the absence of those chemicals that causes disruptions in our body and in our ecosystem. And also when we did customer discovery, talking to some of the people on this list and also people like you, we realized that there was a gap in terms of residential applications. These companies realized that they could not make a profit or it wasn't worth it to them to market to a residential market, but you guys still need these materials, right? So what has happened out of that is one of these companies that are on the list that I cannot tell you right now, we are working with to develop this out. So we have a prototype at Mississippi Polymer Institute to work with one of these companies to build that out for the residential market. So here's a really sort of easy way to sort of think about what we do. We have partnerships who recover the resources that would be going to landfills and resource recovery partners. And again, we get them at free or low cost. And our manufacturing process, which is patent pending, and there's sort of two paths that it can go. We can build something like this, which is implementable, or we can build raw materials, little pellets there, and they can be thermoformed or injection molded or anything else that you could do with a polymer product. And the patent pending process is available for license, and that's where we believe that would make the most sense for us to sit. There's a lot of information on here. You can just listen to me. What we're really going to do for go-to-market is just continue to do what we've been doing, which is talking to people and seeing where we fit. We've done dozens of customer interviews, and really what it's come down to is there is a gap, and these large companies are just unwilling to fill it. It doesn't make sense for them financially, and we can do it. One of those things, again, like I mentioned, is going to come from our partnerships where we can do these paid pilots and collaboration, which we already have in progress. And working with the industry, actually we were just last week in another Tennessee city, not to be named, I will not say where I was, at the American Institute of Architects in Chattanooga, and talking to architects and designers about what they thought was important. And sustainability, environmental equity, those kinds of things are very much top of mind to these people, and it's coming. If you haven't seen it, it's coming. And then again, the licensing, which we talked about before. So who's going to do it, and why are they the best people to do it? So that's me at the top. I'm a chemist. I was an analytical chemist for a very long time, but I think the biggest part of that is helpful for Fractal is I built things. So I was on teams, either quality or project management or even IT, 3 greenfield facilities, multi-million-dollar facilities that I sat on teams, and I built things out. I did tech transfer. So I know how to go from an idea to a plant that can actually build a thing and then sell a thing. And these two guys are really the polymer guys. So Dr. Panchal and Dr. Gayer. Dr. Panchal went to one of the leading polymer institutes, UMass Lowell, if you're not familiar. He has a lot of experience, especially in medical devices and commercialization of those types of materials. Dr. Gayer is a mechanical engineer. And these guys have been with me from the beginning 2 years ago, roughly. So here's a little bit about what we've done. You can see we've been in some accelerators. That yellow little turnaround represents a time when we decided what we were doing didn't work and we had to pivot, right? And so that is right around the time we began this accelerator where we received a generous $15,000 stipend. And that little time clock is the pending, because I can't tell you who we're working with, right? And so here it is a little bit. So when we first started, we're based in Houston. We got a grant from the city and the Ion Smart and Resilient Cities Accelerator. We got a $15,000 grant from this accelerator. We are looking to start our first raise next quarter, and that will be to go from TRL 3, which we are now, to TRL 4 till TRL 6, technology readiness level, where we do more hires so I can offboard the guys on the screen because they're expensive and they have their own companies, right? And then to also continue the customer discovery so we actually know what we're building and who we're building it for, because it's iterative and we'll never stop doing that. So finally, I want to do one more thing. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you want to build back better. Do you know what that means? Great. All of you have just been recruited to be in my next customer discovery. So at lunch, come and talk to me, and we'll talk about how Fractal can help you to build back your places and spaces.
Can y'all hear me okay? Yes, perfect. Okay, that's it. All right. Good morning. My name is Kay Baker. I am a co-founder of Green Llama, and you are probably sitting here wondering what in the world is Green Llama. Well, we make cleaning products that are sustainable. We eliminate single-use plastic. We reduce carbon emissions. And we use ingredients that are not harmful to us or the environment. We are currently in over 30 stores across 19 states, and to date have taken 6,500 plastic spray bottles out of circulation. My co-founder, Matt, is also my husband, and I will have him stand up so you can see that he's here today. Oh, he's hiding in the back. There he is. He is already standing. Matt is originally from a small town in England. And when he was a young teen, he ran the milk mound. So I love that I am able to tell our daughter that she looks exactly like the milkman. Now, when Matt ran the milk round, he drove an electric truck as not to wake the neighbors in the early hours. He would take fresh milk in glass jars, leave it at the doorstep, then take the empty jars, and the cycle would continue. At the time, he didn't realize what a sustainable model this was. And now milkmen are a thing of the past, replaced by single-use plastic jugs and cartons we get at the store. So personal care products, cleaning products, including surface cleaners, use this same single-use plastic model. Who here has used a cleaner that looks something like this? I certainly have. And I want to take a dive into it. We get it from the store. In the past, I did not know that over 95% of that solution was water. So basically what we're buying is a plastic bottle, a trigger spray, and water. Water which you have right at home. Water which weighs a lot and is costly to ship around. So then we take our cleaner, we clean, and the harsh chemicals in it are at best irritating and at worst harmful to our health. Then once we finish the cleaner, it goes in the trash. We might recycle it, but unfortunately, of the 300 million tons of plastic waste we create every year, only 9% is ever recycled, and this number is decreasing. Plastic pollution is a problem. It is a growing problem. Right now in our oceans, there are more pieces of plastic floating around than stars in our Milky Way galaxy. That is over 5 trillion. Plastic is harmful to our marine life, that is well established. But also in a recent study, scientists found that 80% of participants had plastic in their bloodstreams. So it is more than likely that the majority of us here have plastic in our bodies. So at Green Llama, our solution to this problem is a cleaning solution. And pun was absolutely intended. So we have a long list of products that we want to develop, but we started with an all-purpose, a bathroom, and a glass cleaner in pod form. And how that works is very simple. You drop it, fill it, shake it, and then you clean. The pod is mixed with water, it dissolves, and then you have a new cleaner within 5 minutes. So this solves the problems that I mentioned earlier. First, we eliminate the single-use plastic by reusing a bottle that you have at home or our very nice glass, aesthetically pleasing Green Llama bottles that we have. Also, by removing the water, we reduce carbon emissions in shipping, as well as cost, because our pods are only 2 to 3 grams each. We also use a compostable material for our packaging right here, and in my hand is the equivalent of 3 bottles of cleaner in this small little pouch. When choosing our ingredients, we referenced a lot of literature, we referenced the EPA Safer Choice list, and we chose ingredients that are not harmful to us or the environment. We also chose essential oils for our scents, and they smell amazing. And once we had our formula, we launched at our local farmers market in Johnson City, Tennessee. We are very proud to be based here in East Tennessee. We got feedback from the community, and then we gave our pods to our local cleaning companies. They tested them out, came back with overwhelmingly positive feedback, and some have switched over to Green Llama. They love the space it saves them with the little pods. Then we have continued to grow, and we are currently in over 30 stores across 19 states, as well as selling B2C via an e-commerce website on Shopify. This right here is our traction with pod sales in the past year, and we are very excited about this. It is no surprise that our plan is to continue growing. We want to launch a digital marketing campaign to get more B2B sales on our e-commerce site, as well as get larger accounts to reach more customers. So this is Green Llama's traction, and now I want to take a step back to the bigger picture, the green cleaning products market. It is at research and markets forecasted to grow at an annual growth rate of 7.4%, up to $398 billion by the year 2027. Also, in the 2021 Green Buying Market Report, 83% of those 44 and under said they would pay more for sustainable products, and 54% of all consumers consider sustainability in their purchases. So what this shows us here is that there's a demand for green products, there's a demand for green cleaning products, and that demand is increasing. With all of these numbers, it is no surprise that we have competitors. This even includes a company, you may have heard of it. It's got like a P and a G in the name somewhere. I think they're in Ohio. And but John regularly tells me not to be afraid to poke the bear. So I've made this comparison chart with why Green Llama is of course the best. But bottom line, our cleaners are more effective. Our price point is more affordable than the green cleaners you find at the store. Our dissolvability is faster, and we use less waste. Plus, they do not have a really, really awesome llama logo like we do. And finally, I want to introduce our team. Again, I'm Kay Baker, co-founder. And while my background is occupational therapy, my passion for sustainability led me to create Green Llama. And through our journey, I have found that I have a knack for sales. Dr. Matthew Kesey, again, the milkman in the back. He is a well-published He's a neuroscientist with impressive career, background in biology and chemistry, and he leads our formulations as well as the methods that we use at Green Llama. And then Mike Pewterconnect, he is our COO, and Mike is a business analyst with long contracts with multiple blue chip companies. He came on board earlier this year, and he has been essential to our organization and structure. And this here is a summary of what I've talked about today, that I'd like to finish with inviting you to come and see the displayed products that we had. We also have some samples and QR codes, brochures, if you would like more information on our website. Very proud that I get to be speaking in front of you today. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll try to make this quick. If I learned anything from the Accelerator, it's that you don't get between John Bruck and a free lunch. So to get started, could everyone raise your hand if you've ever taken public transportation? Okay, so mostly everyone. Now keep your hand up if you really enjoyed your trip on public transportation. Okay, Europe doesn't count, Don. So I'm Dave Castley, co-founder of Rave, and I'm excited to discuss how we're solving the pains and problems of intercity travel. I'm also excited to discuss how we recently completed our prototype, as well as received a Cleantech grant and have pilots in the area, as well as Philadelphia lined up. So to give a quick story to level set on really how I got here and how we settled on this business model. It was the end of 2021 and COVID restrictions started to ease up in Philadelphia, and I wanted to visit a friend that lived a few neighborhoods away. So I couldn't take my personal vehicle because we really weren't sure where the day was going to take us. So I checked public transportation, and it would require taking 2 trains and some walking to get there, about 45 minutes. So 3 times slower than driving. So I check Uber, and to me, Uber always feels like spinning roulette because I never know how long it's going to take to get a driver or how much it's going to cost. This particular trip was in the $60 to $65 range. So basically the cost of a one-way flight to Florida just to stay in my hometown. Now, I started to get the sense that I wasn't the only person with this issue. It turns out 70% of people rate their public transportation system as fair or poor, and the price of Uber, which was once a viable alternative, has doubled and tripled in price in the last 2 to 3 years. So that's where Rave comes in. Rave is a fleet of shared low-speed electric vehicles similar to a golf cart that offers convenient, affordable, and zero-emissions intercity travel. So the top picture is the prototype that we recently completed this Saturday. And the bottom is from a vendor that we've been working with based in the Netherlands. So kind of a current state and future state. So if I were to take that same ride using Rave, I would have found the closest vehicle, drive to unlock it using my phone, drive to a designated spot near my friend's house, and park where it'll be left for the next person. So we developed 4 key pieces of technology that really enable this whole thing logistically and operationally. The main piece is our auto-balancing fleet algorithm that allows us throughout the day to understand the mobility needs of each city. That way we can assign a value to each parking spot and encourage users to park in those specific areas based on the needs of the city. We also have swappable battery technology, which removes all of the requirements of charging infrastructure, which everyone knows is a massive expense and takes a lot of coordination and development. Our modular systems allow us to plug into any existing low-speed vehicle. So our IP really isn't sitting in the vehicle itself, it's these other key operational aspects to it. So that way we can use the proper vehicle for each city's unique environment. The last piece, unlike any other micromobility service, we have the potential for mass amounts of data collection for city telemetry data. And this can be used for map building or surveillance or a suite of other applications. Now, the market for on-demand transportation is massive. As I'm sure everyone here can imagine, in 2022, people want things now, and transportation is one of those things. So the current US on-demand transportation market is $120 billion a year, growing at a rate of 20% year over year. It's expected to reach $350 billion by 2030. Now, we sit in the short-range on-demand transportation market, which is $72 billion per year. We offer a tremendous amount of value within this space. The first piece is self-service. So users never need to rely on fixed route bus systems ever again. They also don't need to coordinate with an Uber driver or a Lyft driver. We also pull out all of the uncertainty of the trip by guaranteeing parking and fixed pricing. And we're able to offer this all for around $3 per ride. Now, if you live in the suburbs, it might not seem like there's an issue getting around the city. You might leave your driveway, go to the grocery store, park there, and go back. But historically, urban residents really need to either choose the convenient option or the affordable option. And up until now, they really weren't able to have both. And considering their carbon footprint was kind of a luxury. So right now, we are able to offer convenient, affordable, and zero emissions intercity travel. We've gained a good amount of traction the last 3 months. So the Spark Accelerator has been a tremendous opportunity. It really enabled us for me to do this full time and get things going. Last month, we also received a grant from New Jersey Commission of Science, Innovation, and Technology, $75,000 non-dilutive, which we were very excited about, actually, until I told Tom Rogers, and he referred to it as walking around money, and I was a little less excited at that point. But this is enough to allow us to complete our prototype, set up a alpha and beta test in Philadelphia with the hospital systems there. And our ultimate goal is for this spring to bring a pilot to the Knoxville area. We've been working with UTK, CAT, ORNL, and the city, who's been absolutely tremendous. We really would not be here without their support. So currently we have a bootstrapping strategy, but when we do release a full fleet, we'll be looking to raise $500,000, and the bulk of that will be for equipment and vehicles, as well as staffing and working capital. So I'm confident the team we have here is not only equipped to bring the solution to market, but also scale effectively. Jeff and I have worked on several projects together, one of them being for a startup in the physical access control industry, where our products are still being used by facilities that are regulated by the Department of Homeland Security. Danielle is a successful entrepreneur as well, and she's a graduate of the ORNL Innovation Crossroads program, as well as some of the people here. So thank you all for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. If you have any questions about the technology or how we complete this operationally, I'm happy to answer any questions at lunch. One other thing, Martin was the Spark Scholar, and he did the logo and some of the user journey stuff, so also give him a round of applause. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dave. Now, to continue to showcase this growing clean tech hub that we are building in East Tennessee, I'd like to welcome Dan Miller up to the podium. He is the program lead for the Innovation Crossroads program at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and he is going to introduce us to some of the newest cohorts. So, Dan.
Thanks, Courtney. It's really grateful to be here this morning with everybody, and really thankful that Tom and John invited Innovation Crossroads to be a part of this great event. Tom and John's passion for entrepreneurship and mentorship are one of our ecosystem's biggest strengths. So it's really exciting to see how they're growing the Spark Cleantech Accelerator. A few notes on Innovation Crossroads. Again, my name's Dan Miller. I'm the director of the Innovation Crossroads program at Oak Ridge National Lab. We're a 2-year entrepreneurial fellowship program that recruits early stage entrepreneurs in the energy and advanced manufacturing space to come and work alongside our scientific and research staff at ORNL for a period of 2 years in hopes of growing high impact businesses in energy and advanced manufacturing. We're sponsored by the Department of Energy and ORNL and also TVA. I see Gary Brinkworth here. Gary and TVA have been a fantastic partner with us since the beginning of the program. We just brought on our 6th cohort. So we started in 2017 with a cohort of 3 startups, and we just brought on our 6th cohort. Total, we have 31 companies either have come through or are currently involved in our program. And our applications for our next cohort, our 7th cohort, open on October 15th. We're always recruiting, so if you're interested or know anybody that might be interested, I'm very happy to talk to you. Lastly, before I introduce the entrepreneurs from our program, it's a very exciting time for entrepreneurship in our ecosystem. With Spark, Innovation Crossroads, and Techstars, there's a big influx of deep tech entrepreneurs coming into our ecosystem that are aiming to leverage our world-class assets. So we're excited to be a part of that and our growing ecosystem here. So now I'm happy to introduce you to the newest cohort of innovators from Innovation Crossroads. These will be very short pitches, and I'm sure they're not going to be able to tell you everything about what they're doing. So if you are interested in learning more, be sure to attend the Innovation Crossroads Showcase on September 22nd during Innovate 6.5 Week. And you'll be able to hear more from these innovators and some of the other innovators in our program. So with that, Bianca, why don't you kick us off here?
Thanks, Dan. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Bailey, and I'm the founder and CEO of AgriWater. AgriWater is turning liquid animal poop into clean water and valuable byproducts for farmers. Has anyone driven past a hog or a dairy farm and got a whiff of that nice smell? Well, what you're actually smelling is actually greenhouse gas emissions from animal lagoons where the dairy and hog waste actually sits. And so this is a problem that AgriWater is trying to solve. Did you know that 500 million tons of animal waste is produced every year in the United States of America? That is a lot of waste, and it's very, very stinky. Actually, that 500 million tons of animal waste equates to over 1,000 times the weight of the Empire State Building produced every single year. So think about how much water, how much nutrients, how much energy can come out of just being able to process this animal waste into something that's valuable for farmers. If we take a look at this picture right here, this is a confined animal feeding operation, and these are actually open lagoons. And so that smell, that beautiful smell, which is the smell of money, that you pass during the hog farms, it comes from these open lagoons, and this is open, so you can also think about how much greenhouse gas emissions are coming off of this. This is actually a picture of a farm in North Carolina that got caught dumping 324,000 gallons of hog waste into a nearby river. They got charged $1.5 million The farmer that owned the facility was actually taken to prison and arrested, and the court actually ordered them to figure out an environmental compliance solution that will help them treat the hog waste on site. And that is where AgriWater comes in. We are that environmental compliance solution that removes the pain and burden from farmers so that they don't have to pay expensive Clean Water Act violation expenses, as well as they can stay out of jail. I'm sure we don't want our farmers, we're hungry, right? We like to eat food. We don't want our farmers to be in jail. So we want to make sure that we work alongside of them to make sure that they can have reoccurring revenue as well as clean water. This is a picture of our demo unit, which came out of the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I just finished my degree in ag engineering from there. And so we're actually taking this technology and iterating it, a second version of that with the ORNL. 8,000 regulated animal farmers in the United States of America equates to about a $2 billion market if we were to treat the waste. If we look at our competitors, this is actually dredging a lagoon and hauling off the manure, which is a typical status quo. This is electrocoagulation, which is the technology that we are using. And up here is an anaerobic digester. So right now we're looking at competing against the status quo in anaerobic digesters for actually processing animal waste. The impact of our technology will help reduce over 32 million tons of greenhouse gases, as well as help reduce that 500 million tons of animal waste produced every year. And we want to help put money back in the farmers' pockets by making the waste into compostable fertilizer. We can grab hydrogen energy or fuel from the technology, produce environmental compliant clean water, as well as have farmers operate on the carbon credit market. Again, my name is Dr. Bailey, and I just received my degree in ag tech engineering. I also have a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering and a master's degree in environmental engineering from the University of Illinois. Our collaborator right now at ORNL is Dr. Costas Touris, and he also works in the carbon capture storage area. And right now we are partnering with UT Extension, and they are allowing us to borrow some of their dairy waste. Yes. Right now we're raising, starting a $1 million fundraising round. So we're looking for starting relationships with investors. We also want to start a farmer focus group. Do we have any farmers in the building or past farmers? Okay, I'd love to talk to you about your farming experience. We want to start this group so that we can have input on our technology from the actual customer. And lastly, I don't know if we have any TDAC people in the room, but I'd love to talk to you more about discharge and how that relates to farmers in Tennessee, because I came from Illinois, so I have a little background on that. Lastly, I'd like to thank the sponsors for allowing us to be here, and as well as the Research Park, which is where we were incubating before we actually came here, and HBCU VC, which also donated some funds to AgriWater. Again, we are AgriWater, and we're turning liquid animal waste into clean water and valuable byproducts for farmers. Thank you for listening, and I'll be happy to take any questions later on.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kim Tooten from Captus Air, founder and CEO, and I have over 34 years of experience in the wood products manufacturing industry. So I know firsthand that this technology that I'm going to share with you today is very valuable. So here's the problem. When wood products are manufactured, one of the first steps in the process is to dry the wood. And when you dry the wood, you're driving off not only all of that water, but the organics that are in the wood too. And when these organics are volatilized, they're actually converted into air pollutants. Now, of course, we can't release air pollutants, so they require that these pollutants be controlled with an air pollution control device. Today, these huge devices that you see here called oxidizers or RTOs, they control these pollutants by burning them. And in the process, they use huge amounts of natural gas. In fact, so much so that we refer to these things as gas guzzlers. Now, as these gas guzzlers burn this huge amount of natural gas, obviously it creates greenhouse gas emissions. It's very expensive to operate. And especially these days, with the cost of natural gas increasing as it is, these things are getting more and more and more expensive to operate. And this is the natural gas that our technology can reduce or even eliminate. So the alternative is to very efficiently capture and recover these same pollutants, which in the case of drying green pine wood are actually very valuable and are composed primarily of turpentine. Capturing this material enables our customers to recover and sell this valuable turpentine, as well as reduce energy use and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And the good news for us is we can implement this technology at literally hundreds of sites. So with Innovation Crossroads and Oak Ridge National Lab, we have the opportunity and the ability to get rid of these gas guzzler RTOs and instead replace them with our energy efficient capture technology that can provide all the following benefits. And when implemented at just 50 sites, we could reduce energy usage by over 10 trillion BTUs per year, drive down operational costs for our customers by up to $150 million per year, and enable our customers to capture, recover, and sell 10 to 15 million gallons per year of this valuable terpene, and address the climate crisis by reducing greenhouse gases. We have a great team. Our team has already successfully demonstrated this technology at a commercial-oriented strand board mill at the pilot scale, and we ran it for over 6 months. And we collected these beautiful terpenes, or turpentine, in the process. In addition, right now, we're talking with one of the world's largest forest products producers about demonstrating and implementing this technology at their site, primarily to reduce greenhouse gases. Today's air pollution control devices, unfortunately, are gas guzzlers. We're fixing that. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to answer any questions you have later. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Dr. Alex Stiles. I'm the co-founder of Vitroform 3D, and our company is working with glass waste and upcycling it into high-value end products. So if you look at the glass recycling system in the United States, it's broken. Only 1/3 of all glass bottles and containers are actually recycled, which leaves 8 million tons going to landfill every year. Now, the reason why is because of the value. So glass scrap has low value, which means that with the distances between US cities, glass only really gets recycled if it's located within a 150-mile radius of a processing facility. Not every city has those. Knoxville, for one, does not have a glass processing facility. So if you look, the closest facilities are in Nashville and Atlanta, right outside of that 150-mile radius. So in 2019, Knox County and some of the surrounding counties stopped recycling glass because it was too expensive to ship for the value of the waste product. That leaves 15,000 tons going to landfill annually in Knox County alone. Now, there are some solutions being implemented on a local level. You see Cumberland County and Blount County have started collecting and crushing glass and using it locally for backfill, soil amendment, and sand. These are also low-value end uses. What we're looking at with Vitroform 3D is high-value end products, specifically looking at 3D printing of durable goods. We have pioneered a 3D printing process that uses crushed glass sand And we have a patent pending on this method, which can give us parts that have over 80% glass in them, which the properties of that material are similar to an engineered stone. So our business model is to use locally crushed glass, convert that into a 3D printable feedstock material, and then print parts for commercial customers. Some of the commercial customers that we're looking at initially are in the architecture and manufacturing sectors. Architecture for potential LEED credits, translucency for the optical characteristics, that stone-like feel, and the ability to have customized designs. We're also looking in manufacturing, specifically for tool and die industry, where we can dramatically cut down their lead times while still getting predictable behavior, in particular at high temperatures. This is our advisory team, which includes myself and my co-founder, Dustin Gilmer, as well as representatives from the University of Tennessee and from Oak Ridge, our collaborators there. What we're looking for is municipal partners to help with glass recycling and to be recycling champions for glass in the Knoxville area, and market research. We need commercial architects and local manufacturers so that we can help prototype evaluation as we are 3D printing components and get their feedback. So I'd like to thank our partners with Innovation Crossroads and the University of Tennessee. And if you have any questions, I'd love to talk with you during lunch. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Rajan Kumar. I'm the CEO and founder of Ateo Systems. We develop a manufacturing process that's going to enable rapid, low cost, and cleaner manufacturing of critical battery components. Almost anything with a button requires a battery. Your phone, your car, all the electronics around you. Unfortunately, the manufacturing tools to build these batteries are not able to keep demand. And it's going to affect all of these devices. For example, we're going to lose almost nearly 18 million vehicles from this shortage in the next decade. To really understand where this problem is, we need to understand how batteries are manufactured today. So we take these materials that we found that can hold energy, take these materials, mix them, we coat them, process, and assemble. And this is how all batteries are made today. The biggest bottleneck is this coating and drying process. It's a coating facility where it's nearly 60 meters long, which is basically a locomotive, 3 stories high. It takes 3 years to build, $30 million, and it still can't meet demand. And so we need a new solution to do that. That's where we at Ateos, along with our partners at Oak Ridge National Lab, developed a technology that instead of using heat to remove unwanted toxic solvents in this process, using light. And this is a process proven to be 10 times faster, 5 times cheaper, and 12 times cleaner because it shrinks those ovens to a fraction of its size, gets faster output, and no longer uses those toxic solvents and heat to remove it, being a much cleaner, faster, cheaper process. And what's really exciting about this technology is it can impact any type and size of batteries. One thing unique about us is that our traction. For usually when you look at a battery company, you're looking at a return in 10 years, raising $1 billion. The one unique thing is we've incubated ourselves at the Battery Innovation in Indiana, where we have access to $15 million facility. So for less than $1 million in less than a year, we're able to get products out in the space. And we right now have been showcasing flexible batteries at the Consumer Electronics Show. And in the past 12 months, we've secured over $425K in revenue with multiple Fortune 500 customers and with DoD. And so where we're looking is supplying the key components for this $50 billion market for lithium-ion batteries, where we're going to be supplying the electrodes and the materials. Right now, we're focusing on very low-tech batteries, where our single-use and low-cycle rechargeable batteries. Our team, we have a really strong team with 50 years combined experience in battery manufacturing and cell. I myself have 10 years experience in doing a PhD in print electronics, NSF fellow, managed multiple ARPA-E projects, and have gotten multiple accolades from Forbes and recently with Innovation Crossroads, So with our company, we have a very compelling technology that's really going to enable this ubiquitous electrification. We have the facilities with our facility in BIC and now the partnership with Oak Ridge National Lab, and we have a really strong team that can make it happen. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Philip Stuckey, founder and CEO of FC Renew. We are developing technologies for hydrogen fuel cells, and we've coined our technology an oil change or your hydrogen fuel cell. So right now, if you couple a hydrogen fuel cell to a renewable energy source that's on the grid, you actually have a zero emission transportation application. So no emissions at all because the waste product of a hydrogen fuel cell is water. And unlike battery technologies, fuel cells have a very high power density. So when we start to look at big trucks like the Class 8 truck show up here, the fuel cell can actually start to replace the diesel engines and other internal combustion engines. And the batteries really do have too much weight to really be able to cover the long hauls that we really need for these very energy-dense, heavy-duty applications. But fuel cells definitely have their own problem. Hydrogen infrastructure is certainly one, but within the fuel cells themselves, the electric catalyst in those fuel cell degrades. And right now, fuel cells have about a 5,000 hour lifetime, plus or minus for sure. And at the end of that lifetime, we just really take that fuel cell out of the device and replace it with another fuel cell. So imagine trying to change the diesel motor in one of those big trucks every 150,000 miles, which is about 5,000 hours on the road. It's just not really going to be feasible. So we really need a way to get the durability up. And as we look at all the applications that hydrogen fuel cells can deliver power to, we really see that there's a lot of value in trying to replace our current internal combustion systems that are used for ships, planes, and especially heavy-duty vehicles. So a heavy-duty vehicle takes about a 300 kilowatt power plant to get that vehicle moving. And that cost is about $40,000 projected for a hydrogen fuel cell. There are very few of these on the road today. It's definitely an emerging technology. In the United States, California is really the only area that has a intense fueling corridor. So we're certainly not getting to economies of scales with this technology yet. So rather than having to just replace and throw away that fuel cell stack, FC Renew has developed a process to be able to renew the activity of the catalyst inside that fuel cell. So what that means is that we no longer have to remove that engine every 150,000 miles. We can bring it in for service about every 5,000 hours, just like a check engine light on your dashboard will come on, and it'll let you know that you need to bring that fuel cell in for service. So by being able to do this process iteratively throughout the lifetime of whatever device it's in, we actually can bring up the lifetime needs to get to about 1.2 million miles, which is the goal for these heavy-duty trucks. And by doing this as well, we really see a significant cost savings. Considering that that initial fuel cell cost about $40,000, if we had to replace that stack 5 to 6 times in the truck, we're looking at a total cost of ownership for just the fuel cell around $240,000. Our process is definitely much lower cost to implement. So at about $1,000, you can see that we would have a stack cost of around $45,000. And when you begin to look at these heavy-duty applications, this is really a changer for total cost of ownership. I've been very fortunate to have an incredible team internally. I'm in Cohort 5 of Innovation Crossroads, so a year in, and had some incredible support through there, and certainly have wide external advisors as well. So very appreciative for all the support. And I myself have been involved in hydrogen fuel cells for a very long time. That's me in 2003 in Reykjavik, riding on a hydrogen fuel cell bus. There was a demonstration project there. I continued my education all the way through my doctorate level working on hydrogen fuel cells. I founded FC Renew. We were fortunate enough to be in Innovation Crossroads. We've recently received an award from the U.S. Army and are going to be on a contract here next month. We are looking to the state for some funding. We are seeking industrial partnerships. I'm going to lead a proposal for the hydrogen shot Department of Energy FOA that was just released, if anyone is interested in partnering on that. And very recently was accepted to the Spark Incubator, the Spark Incubator. So I'm very excited to be growing and to be coming here and looking forward to working with Spark and the University of Tennessee.
Okay, and Philip, if you will stay at the front, we're going to introduce a surprise element to our program today. If all of the innovators from Innovation Crossroads, as well as the Spark Cleantech Accelerator, if you'll come up to the front, we'll do a little audience Q&A. So come on up. All right, you all heard, as many people as there are up here today, you all heard from a very small cross-section of all of the clean tech and advanced energy entrepreneurs that we have in East Tennessee. So are there any burning questions for our entrepreneurs? Ron?
I have one for Kay. Kay, it's not a technical question, it's really a market question.
Sure.
I was curious if you consider working with other clean tech companies that have kind of a milkman route kind of a strategy. One that comes to mind that I was introduced to several weeks ago over in Davidson, North Carolina, is a company called Boomerang. They actually have a water solution that's very similar to your strategy. It's non-competitive, and it looks like it would be a cooperative kind of a partnership.
Yeah, to answer your question, I hadn't specifically thought of something like Boomerang, but I definitely appreciate that idea. So they deliver, they do like the milkman.
They have
and refill.
They refill bottled water. They sell a refilling station that can be located in like a mining camp or marine base. But then they also have a milkman model as part of their routing solution.
Very cool.
It's a quite innovative company. They're going into cities like Davidson, Breckenridge Ski Resort.
No Breckenridge.
Converted the entire city to this milkman refill water program, reducing waste in landfills, etc.
Very interesting. I will take note of the name Boomerang because that is a great idea. We are looking to potentially coordinate with Windfall to help us with our trigger sprays, but that's in the works. Besides that, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions? We'll go up here.
Yes, this is for Ryan. I'm Gary Hurl, Young American Capital, New York Investment Bank. Two quick questions. One is, how are you to get the fiberglass to where you want to process it? And then secondly, are you looking to license the technology to others and gain that recurring revenue stream? Or are you looking to finance all of the plants inside the company? What are you looking at from those?
All right. To clarify, the first question is about the logistics between the wind farm and the factory concept, right? Okay, so luckily in the case of wind energy, there's already a third-party logistics network that got the blades out there in the middle of nowhere in the first place. So we've been working with those same companies to run the process in reverse to get it at our facility. Advantages, we don't need it intact, so we can hack at it in the field, get it to fit out on a truck. So what we'll do is what are called X and Y cuts, where we'll cut up the blade, then fillet it to stack it on the truck or rail car. We're actually doing our first rail shipment in about 30 days. So that allows us to pack it out, get it to the facility, and at that point, we'll do any further cutting and eventual shredding on site there. Again, that'll vary a little bit when we start getting into some of the other composite streams and automotive, but same basic concept. On the model itself for licensing, we have thought about that. For the first plant, where we have a model of doing it ourselves, but we have looked at a couple of different concepts, such as like a prosumer model where we would build a recycling plant for Volkswagen to do its automotive waste kind of thing, where we'd help deploy the plant, train the staff, that kind of thing, as opposed to necessarily running it all ourselves. So I'd say longer term, we probably won't be operating everything directly, but at least kind of those first initial plants, we would launch ourselves and then be able to in a position to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We had kind of a cluster of questions over here. Ira in the back.
I had a question for Jonna at Fractal. You let the cat out of the bag. So I'm from Chattanooga. So have you talked to Michael Walton at Green Spaces?
So that's where I went. I went to Green Spaces.
I'm on the board of Green Spaces, so
okay,
I'm
we'll
glad
talk.
you connected.
Yeah.
Did he mention the Healthy Homes Initiative that we just announced with Erlanger?
So I haven't talked to Michael. I went to the Green Spaces conference. That's why I was there. But so short answer, no.
Okay, I will make sure that connection is
I appreciate it. I will make sure you make sure.
Thank you.
Ira is also one of our best EIRs in the Energy Mentor Network, too. He's worked with several companies. So, Ira, we appreciate you coming up today. All right. There was a question over here. Yes.
I had a question also, and I'm sorry, Jonna. Oh, here we go. Jonna, this is for you also,
Okay.
so I hate to hit you twice back to back.
Let's do it.
But the flooring the biodegradable flooring, the flooring
Yes.
made of biodegradable materials, how is that impacted in the home? Because just as
Yeah.
a homeowner, I'm thinking, is that floor also going to biodegrade in my
Sure.
home?
Sure.
So what is the lifespan of that?
So that is phase 2 of the pilot that we're working with Mississippi Polymer, is to see actual numbers for resistance, impact, and those kinds of things. So that'll happen in the next 30 days, and I'll have that information. So I'll put in a plug if you want to sign up for the wait list. I can give you like the spec sheet when that comes out, but it's coming in soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. If you don't mind,
Sure.
can I keep on my
You
roll
can.
here? And back to Ryan. So, we're just kind
Hello
of
again.
bouncing back and forth. So you talked about the end product of you're breaking down these, wind turbines and composites into little recyclable pellets. How many times can those go through the process? So how many times will those be recycled?
Great question. So what we envision is kind of in a similar model to paper recycling, where you have the very long cellulose fiber as your nice office paper, and after you've gone through it several cycles, lost that aspect ratio, you're making milk cartons. Same basic concept, where with a wind blade, it's continuous fiber. We'll grind that up, and we'll have that very long aspect ratio for doing the non-woven fabrics. Another product I didn't talk about, because it's still a little early in development, is we're actually able to use textile equipment to spin it into yarns, so get it back into a continuous form factor. And we actually have a miniature rocket we built through filament winding that's pending for award at the U.S. Composites Industry Trade Show in October. But essentially, you take that material, you go through the process again. Now you're into thermoplastic compounding, so a lot shorter fiber. At the end, when you have lost most of the aspect ratio, it has the purity to go back to remelt, so you can turn it back into virgin filament, which is a little better than paper, because that you just sprinkle around the tree and hope it goes back in. But we can actually convert it back into the original glass for a closed material loop.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you to everybody.
Dan, go ahead.
Bianca, how does the cost of your technology compare to anaerobic digestion? And Dave, where do you plan to roll out first?
Thank you for your question. The cost, we're still determining that since we're at the early stage. But as far as costs for electrocoagulators that are in the industry already, you could see anywhere from $150,000 all the way up to $1 million. That's based upon the volume of waste that you're treating at one time. So the flow rate of waste that you're treating. So that's depending upon the volume. And as far as anaerobic digesters, those can be anywhere upwards from $500 to $1 million to $2 million. they're pretty expensive. And also, if you think about the fact that you're just holding methane inside of a tank versus actually treating it on the spot, electrocoagulation may have some better benefits as far as reducing the greenhouse gases much faster than the anaerobic digestion.
And Dave?
Yeah, so September will be alpha testing the prototype in Philadelphia. October will be beta testing with the hospital system in Philadelphia as well. And then we have a bootstrapping project set up for next summer at a seasonal resort community where we'll be taking pre-orders for the vehicles, and we'll use those vehicles to bring an initial about 10 vehicle fleet to Knoxville in the spring. So that way we can basically have the vehicles paid for in advance without having to bring on funding right away, and then run that demonstration here late February, early March.
Other questions? Chris?
Hey guys. I don't need the mic.
Low energy.
I mean,
right
technically.
there. Low energy.
Hey guys, I'm Chris. So I want to ask a question kind of to the group about, like, I think everybody here understands both the like economic and environmental implications of everything everyone's doing. I want to get a little bit more granular. Adaptability for communities. So have you guys thought about, what are some of the workforce challenges and or workforce opportunities that your products, services, and or technology brings into a community? I'm thinking about, what kind of training will be available for, in the end, right? Like there's a person in a field with gloves on putting this stuff into practice. And then does that person then have the opportunity to have a job that didn't exist before, right? So a rambling question to everybody.
Sure.
This is Ed Chan from GroundStar. There's a publication on 2015 that went to the Obama's White House for advanced manufacturing. The factor is 16 to 1. In other words, if you generate one job of advanced manufacturing, all of the guys here, it's going to create 16 jobs, collateral and direct. So from the standpoint of how we impact the community, we're going to be impacting PhD graduates because we need to hire them. We're going to be impacting community colleges. We need to train them. So 16 to 1.
Yes, in my technology, we definitely are an emerging field. Hydrogen fuel cells have yet to hit an economy of scale in terms of their manufacturability. And in my technology itself, with the concept of an oil change, this is going to require community college level type technicians, perhaps kind of rebranding an ASE mechanic at the dealership or at other locations. And it's going to require a wide distribution area because people are going to need to be able to take their vehicles in. So it's going to require some reintegration, re-education, retooling at, all these travel centers, all these types of areas as well. So, it's kind of also looking at what are the other options. We continue with the status quo, which, as we read the news every day, is not really good for our future. And then in terms of other options out there, there just aren't a ton right now. So I think it's, definitely a great time for all of us to be doing what we're doing.
Shauna?
Shauna, yes. So I'll say for flooring, there is a gap. So the current workforce is aging out, and because it's a skill, like a trade, they have a hard time finding people. They have a conference next month because they just can't find people to put in flooring. So I think one of the things that is an opportunity for us is to either make it easier to implement those flooring solutions or make it at a level where someone can be trained and it doesn't take 5 years to learn how to put in flooring or remove flooring, right? So again, designing for the entire life cycle of the product.
All right. For our part, where we're looking at the 200 ton per day facility eventually being here in Knoxville, We project about 200 jobs associated with that, which range from heavy equipment operators with the concrete saws, front loaders, things like that, to engineers that are working on both optimization of the processing line and development of new materials coming off of the fiber from the products. So that kind of dovetails into a lot of the different work that happens out in the Oak Ridge area with folks like manufacturing demonstration facility, things like that, where there's a lot of interest in lower carbon footprint materials for additive manufacturing, lightweighting of vehicles, and so forth. I'd also say that one of the things we've been looking at too that kind of builds off that is co-location of some of our partner industries at the site. For example, a lot of the wind OEMs have blade services divisions of their own. So they do a lot of what are called repowering projects where they take the old farms down, put the new ones up. So being able to directly coordinate with their teams on incoming material and have them as a partner on the site both for the incoming waste and the outgoing product. So I'd say give you just a general sense of scope for the one plant itself. We estimated based off of 2018 numbers, 100% market penetration for the demand would be about 46 plants in the U.S. So there's definitely a lot of room to grow beyond that, but it gives you just an immediate sense of scope of what we're shooting for.
I couldn't get in the room without speaking on the mic at least once. We work locally with East Tennessee State University. So my connections there, we recruited so we're looking for interns, basically, that can help teach us as well as us teach them how to run a business. So from our perspective, I'm not just teaching people how to be milkmen. We're also working with people that can, introduce marketing skills and engineering, because we want to make sure that we do a lot of our manufacture as close as we can to our location. Thank you.
Yeah, so for our company, some of the workforce development needs that we see are, first of all, we're going to need engineers and architects to help with designing the parts for 3D printing and for maintaining the printers. And then as the demand for our printed products increases, we see that there's going to be a need to bring in glass collection. So that could be partnering with a glass collection company, or it could be something that we take on ourselves, but we'll need to hire out workforce to do the glass collection. So quite a few jobs there, hopefully.
So with our technology, we'll be substituting a new device for the existing technology. And so in the existing technology, there are currently operators that run those devices today. So our plan will be to retrain those existing operators to retain those good jobs in our communities.
So I think the best model is like looking at history. In the 1980s, the semiconductor had the same problem. The suppliers, production, and training. And they built this consortium to put everything in the one building. Actually, 3 of the cohorts come from Semitech Consortium University up in SUNY Albany, where it's a $10 billion facility where our education is geared to get a job there, and we have all the resources to work on the right equipment. I think that's the best model to really build these high-tech companies. Like for us, I mean, I've done a PhD in batteries, but I really didn't understand how to actually build a battery, this stuff, until I was actually in a $15 million facility, got access to suppliers instead of just buying research material, actually buying the real materials that I get from China, making sure the costs. So I think that's the model we need to build, these hubs of consortiums that tie in government, academic, and industry, putting all together and building those programs together. There are challenges with that. I mean, there's like kind of a free rider. A lot of those companies are afraid of like getting other companies to access that stuff. So our challenges there. But I do think the Semitech model is what we should do and replicate for these industries.
We've got time for one more question. Oh, Bianca.
Last but not least, Dr. Bailey with AgriWater. As far as market adoption when it comes to an on-site wastewater treatment system for farmers, what I'm seeing is that the regulations for discharging animal waste are becoming more stringent in certain states. And also the current administration is putting out a lot of money for water infrastructure in the United States of America. There are also lots of incentives that are coming out for farmers to adopt more sustainable practices, i.e. The carbon credit market. So what we're trying to do is change the game and actually allow farmers to decarbonize animal wastewater. And that hasn't really been done right now. So what we want to do is show that farmers have the ability to take their animal waste and turn it into carbon credits that can then be used on the farm. As far as hiring and creating job opportunities, an on-site wastewater treatment system will require a technician or an operator that will help operate the system. And what I know about the blue tech jobs, the water jobs, we're really in a deficit. Chicago has a lot of information on the fact that we're in deficit with filling positions for water treatment jobs. And so I believe this opportunity will allow us to be able to put this on display and maybe have more people attracted to the technology and what we're doing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, well, we've got Mayor Kincannon joining us for lunch. Our caterers are about to put out the food. So thank you all very much for coming to this first part of the program. You are welcome to stay for lunch, and we'll hear from Mayor Kincannon.
Well, welcome back. I hope you all can continue to enjoy your lunch. We're going to have a short program and then have a little graduation exercise for our Cleantech Accelerator participants. My name is Tom Rogers. I'm the president and CEO of the UT Research Park, where Spark was born about 2 years ago. And with the support of so many people across this community, across the East Tennessee region, across the state, we're building a program that is really, really special. And we're doing it in partnership with Innovation Crossroads, and we're doing it in partnership with Techstars, and we're making this community a really, really special place for young technology companies to come, grow, and stay. I have a lot of people to thank, and I'm going to try to do that very quickly. I have to start with John Bruck and Carol Siemens and the work they've done over the last summer. And I should probably also thank John's wife, Karen, who didn't really understand the full dynamics of taking a part-time job that he would work 80 hours a week for 3 months. I also need to thank the support staff at the Research Park, especially Angelique Day, Evelyn Molen, Ricky McCallum. They've been fantastic. We thought we were perfectly busy running a research park before we got into this business. And so it's been quite a summer for us as well, and really very gratifying. Our special thanks to Courtney Piper and to Allie and to Piper Communications and the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council and their support we received from Launch Tennessee. We could not have done this without you. So thank you very, very much. We've enjoyed strong financial support from this community, from the city of Knoxville, from Launch Tennessee, from the Tennessee Valley Authority, the UT Research Foundation, the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and the U.S. Department of Energy. So we're grateful for that as well. And finally, and most importantly, I want to thank the 5 companies that took a risk to come to Knoxville and spend three months with us. So that was a brave thing to do. We talked often about building an airplane as we were flying it this summer, and we appreciate your patience as we worked through that process. With the help of our sponsors, we were able to provide non-dilutional stipends to support this program. But we made it clear to everyone from the start, we thought this was maybe a little risky as we were looking for companies, that we were really looking for companies that would consider staying in the region after the program. And I'm happy to say that several of them are doing that. So we hope that the people you talk to today will be with for a long time. Sparks for life, as they say in this town. And since the Spark Cleantech Accelerator is hosted by the university, we wanted to take a special effort to try to connect the work done by these companies to students. And so a number of the companies worked with student interns. We have a program we call the Spark Scholars that works with the Center for Materials Processing. Martin is here representing them. Martin is sitting here next to Dave with Rave. Our vision is to, in the future, both for Spark Incubators, for Innovation Crossroads people, for the Cleantech Accelerator, to have UT students get involved in those journeys and see what's possible, and in that way grow more entrepreneurs in the future. And finally, as they say, it takes a village. This was John's idea to have some rolling credits, but and of course we have the lead slide here, not the rolling credits, but there are nearly 100 people that were involved as mentors, as speakers, as connectors, and we appreciate all of their efforts. It's now my privilege to introduce to you the mayor of the city of Knoxville, India Kincannon, who was sworn in as the 69th mayor of Knoxville on Saturday, December 21st, 2019, with a commitment to putting people first. Ensuring Knoxville's clean and resilient future is one of the key priorities that shape and drive Mayor Kincannon's priorities. In 2020, Mayor Kincannon convened the Mayor's Climate Council to identify and evaluate strategies to achieve the goal of reducing emissions by 80% across the community by 2050. Those strategies have been incorporated now into subsequent budgets. Prior to being elected mayor, Mayor Kincannon had a diverse career and an extensive record of service, including 10 years as a member and chair of the Knox County Board of Education, where she pushed for high quality public schools in every neighborhood of our community. Mayor Kincannon has shown a real interest in this program. She has met several times with our people. Her staff have helped connect our participants in many different ways across the community. And her personal commitment to innovation and sustainability and economic development have really been very clearly demonstrated over the past 3 months. So please join me in welcoming the mayor of the city of Knoxville, India Kincannon.
Good afternoon. It is afternoon? Oh, good morning, I guess. It's really good to be here. It's my pleasure to participate on the city's behalf and support this program. And I'm very committed to all things green and sustainability. And I also just want to say I'm wearing orange today because, tomorrow's game day, but also because to me, the partnership, if you remember from your elementary school art classes on the color wheel, orange and green are complementary colors, right? So thank you for all the support from the University of Tennessee, for all the work that you do to make our city greener and to make our globe greener, and to do that through innovation and entrepreneurship, and including the Spark Cleantech Accelerator. So orange and green go hand in hand, and I'm really grateful for all the work that UT does on this. Thank you, Tom, for where did he go? There you are. Thank you for all your leadership and support. Thanks to all the startups, their founders, partners, and supporters. I've really enjoyed having the opportunity to meet with you. I think several times, and including getting to hear your draft pitches a few weeks ago, and I think that effort helped you refine things even more, because I heard things went really well earlier today. So I'm really proud of what you've accomplished, and I'm proud that you did it in Knoxville. Growing a clean tech hub in Knoxville helps us all in a variety of ways. It's first of all a declaration of our commitment to building a sustainable global future. But on the local level, it also builds our community and boosts Knoxville's economy. More innovation means more talent equals more jobs. And the city of Knoxville is proud to support our innovation ecosystem and to do our part in the fight against global climate change by supporting Spark. I'm so excited to see the great things these founders will go on to do and appreciate everything they've already done with their time in Knoxville. And I'm very excited to know that some of you will plan to continue to have a presence here in Knoxville as a result of this program. That's really good news. Knoxville can serve not only as a model for how to become more internally sustainable, we can also serve as an example of how local governments can act outside of themselves to support the work that has potential to reduce carbon emissions and create a cleaner Knoxville, and a cleaner world. I'm proud to be contributing to the Spark Cleantech Accelerator to bolster Knoxville's place as a clean tech hub. That is a goal of my administration, to grow our reputation and our strength in being a clean tech hub, not just for East Tennessee, not just for Tennessee, not just for the Southeast, but for the entire country and the entire globe. We have what we need to do that. We just need to continue to build on it. So in 2021, a prestigious report came out that ranked Knoxville as the 16th best clean tech hub in the country, ahead of cities like Austin, Houston, Phoenix, and Dallas. So that's pretty good, being number 16 and ahead of some of those other cities, but I know we can do better. And institutions coming together to support programs such as Spark's Clean Tech Accelerator are exactly how we get there. While directly supporting Spark is one way the city can contribute, we all need to continue to make Knoxville the best place to live and work and the best place to be an innovator. So part of my job is supporting direct support to these entrepreneurs and the programs that is making them accelerate into clean tech. But it's also making Knoxville a great place that draws innovation, that draws investment, that inspires entrepreneurs to build their businesses here. So we are doing that by expanding the urban wilderness, doing things like bringing pro baseball and pro soccer to Knoxville, enhancing the quality of life in all our neighborhoods. These are not just wins for the obvious reasons, but for the reasons of talent retention and attraction and building vibrancy and energy in the startup ecosystem. We need that ecosystem infrastructure, but we also need the things that bring people to Knoxville that makes them have a high quality of life, the good schools, the good parks, the fun things to do, because we want people to have their whole lives here, not just 3 months. We want them to build their businesses, their families, and bring more people to do the same in a green, sustainable way. So I'm so excited to see what the first cohort will accomplish in Knoxville and beyond, and looking forward to see what the next cohort will be able to accomplish. Thank you to all the Spark team for the incredible work over the past several months, for being great ambassadors and for the promise of Knoxville and what we can do for these businesses. I want to thank TVA and the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council, Launch Tennessee, and the city staff. Raise your hand, city staff who are here today, and many others. Thank you for helping make this a successful launch and working on support for the program and working with Spark companies directly. And most of all, please raise your hand to the founders, the founder of you all. Thank you for being the founding cohort. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, and congratulations. And now, who's coming up next? I'm not, okay. And now I'd like to welcome Courtney Piper. Thank you.
Wow. Well, it's not every day that I get introduced by the mayor, so that was a treat. I'm going to mark that down. Okay, we're going to move to the awards program now. So Tom Rogers, John Bruck, Carol Siemens, if you will come to the front here. Okay, and Adam, if you want to help make sure that Carol, if you'll take your name tag off. Yep. Okay, great. All right, we're going to have a little awards presentation here for the first cohort. So when I call your name, if you will come up to the front, we've got an award for you. First up, Ryan Ginder with Windfall. Thank you, Ryan. Next, Edward Chan with Groundstar. Thank you, Ed. And then Jonna Porter with Fractal. Thank you, Jonna. Matt and Kay with Green Llama. Oh, there we go. It's good. It's good. Thank you. And then Dave Castelli with Rave. Dave. Congratulations to all the innovators. If we can have you back up at the front with the mayor, we'll do a group photo. Bring your award. That's good. Okay, thank you all very much and congratulations.
So that concludes our program today. We really, really appreciate all of you coming. Stay in touch with us, okay? We're adjourned.